All right, let's take a journey. I want you to picture an Earth that is so different, so alien, you wouldn't even recognize it. We're talking about a time before grass, before flowers, before the trees you know. This is the story of the silent architects that literally built the foundation of the world we live on today. So, when you think about ancient Earth, what comes to mind? Probably giant ferns, maybe some dinosaurs stomping around, right? Well, let's go back even further, way further, to a time when the very idea of a green planet was totally new. The difference is just staggering. Today, our world is buzzing with life. It's vibrant, it's noisy, it's green. But hundreds of millions of years ago, the land was mostly just barren rock. The landscapes were eerily silent. And the life forms, well, they were so strange they might as well have been from another planet. Okay, so our story really kicks off with one of the biggest moments in the history of life, period. The moment it finally left the water and took its very first, very tentative steps onto those harsh, empty continents. We are going back about 400 million years to a time called the Silurian period. The continents were bare, the air was different, and life on land was just getting started. I mean, it's a timescale it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. And this is one of our first heroes, Cooksonia. Just look at how simple it is. We're talking a few centimeters tall with these thin branching stems. It had no leaves, no roots, none of the things we think of when we picture a plant. It was just this tiny, fragile little pioneer in a massive world of rock. But here's the incredible part. As simple as they were, these little plants were total world changers. Altogether, they kicked off one of the most important jobs in Earth's history. They started slowly but surely pumping oxygen into the atmosphere. And this wasn't some small tweak. It was the essential step that made all future animal life on land even possible. So they survived on land, but they didn't stop there. Oh no, the next great leap was to conquer it. Over millions of years, these early pioneers started to get creative, setting the stage for a massive evolutionary explosion. This is how plants went from being tiny little stems to building the first forests on Earth. We're jumping forward a little bit, geologically speaking, of course, to the Devonian period, around 390 million years ago. This was a truly revolutionary time. This is when plants evolved the biological toolkit to grow tall, and in doing so, they completely changed the planet's climate. So, let me introduce you to our next character, Archaeopteryx. Now, this was one of the first things you could really call a tree. It grew over 20 meters tall with a woody trunk that looks surprisingly modern, but get this, it reproduced with spores, like a fern. It's this bizarre, fascinating mashup of ancient and modern that just doesn't fit into any of the neat little boxes we have today. And this is where you really see their power. The very first forests on Earth, made of Archaeopteryx, were so good at sucking carbon dioxide out of the air that they actually caused a global cooling event. A single group of plants literally reshaped the entire world's climate. That's incredible. So you thought Archaeopteryx was strange? Oh, trust me, things are about to get a whole lot weirder. We are now entering the Carboniferous period, an age of huge, swampy forests ruled by plants that grew to absolutely surreal and gigantic sizes. Meet Lepidodendron, also known as the scale tree. And here's the twist. It's not a tree at all. It was a giant club moss that could tower over 30 meters high. Its trunk was covered in this amazing diamond pattern left behind by fallen leaves. Just try to imagine a forest made of these. It would feel like you were walking on another planet. Now, all those swampy forests were just churning out unbelievable amounts of oxygen. At times, the oxygen in the atmosphere soared to as high as 35%. To put that in perspective, today it's just 21%. Think about what it would feel like to breathe air that rich. And that super oxygenated air, it had a pretty stunning side effect. It allowed insects, which breathe through these tiny tubes in their bodies, to get huge, enormous. This is a perfect example of how one kingdom of life, the plants, directly changed the rules for another. Giant dragonflies, massive millipedes, they were all made possible by the work of these strange ancient forests. But, this history isn't just about the things we know. It's also about the incredible things we don't. The fossil record is packed with these mysterious life forms that totally challenge our understanding and just defy any easy explanation. Take a look at this thing. Before the first real forests, the biggest thing on land might have been this, Prototaxites, an 8-meter-tall, pillar-like organism that just dotted the landscape. So the question is, what in the world was it? For decades, scientists were just stumped.
And the debate is just fascinating. On one hand, some scientists think it was a colossal fungus, like a mushroom the size of a building. But another theory suggests it was something else entirely, maybe a member of a totally lost kingdom of life, unlike anything alive today. The truth is, we still don't really know for sure.
And that's not the only puzzle out there. There are others, like the Benetalius. Now, these were plants from the age of dinosaurs that developed these structures that look shockingly like flowers. This was millions of years before actual flowering plants evolved, and it hints at these complex relationships with early insects that we're only just starting to piece together. So you might be asking, where did all these strange and wonderful plants go? And what does any of this have to do with us today? Well, in this final section, we're going to connect the echoes of this lost world to the one we all live in right now. You know, life on Earth is a story of constant, relentless change. New plants with better game plans like flowering plants show up and just outcompete the older models. Then you have huge events like mass extinctions that basically wipe the slate clean. And every single time, from the ashes, new forms of life rise up to fill in the gaps. It's this incredible cycle of innovation and extinction. And here it is. This is the most direct, most powerful connection to our modern lives. Remember those giant Carboniferous swamps? The ones filled with lepidodendron? Well, over millions of years, their buried remains were crushed and cooked into coal. The very same energy that fueled those ancient giants is the fossil fuel energy that powers our world today. So, when you really think about it, these ancient plants aren't truly gone. Not at all. Their legacy is absolutely everywhere. It's in the oxygen mix of the air we breathe, it's in the rich soil that grows our food, and it's in the genetic blueprint of every single modern plant. They were the silent architects, and we are, quite literally, living in the world they built. Which really leaves us with one final, kind of huge thought. The Earth has been home to so many different worlds, and each one probably seemed permanent in its time, only to eventually fade away and be replaced. It just makes you wonder, doesn't it? What will the world we know today look like in another 100 million years? And what legacy will we leave behind?